Well, usually when, even though it just started, yeah, I think again it is streaming, even though I don't see the stream yet, but yeah, we are live. And welcome to our conversation, Jen. For some reason, we don't have our second presenter, not presenter actually. I wouldn't say today is any kind of presentation. We call it "Let's Talk It Through." So I invited you, and I invited Irene because you both have a quite a vast, I would say, experience in the managing field. And I would like to immediately ask you a question. What is happening right now from your understanding? What kind of difficulties managers have right now in this current kind of crisis situation?
I'm not talking firsthand because I don't manage a team of staff now, but from noticing what my coaching clients are saying, there's a sense of, I mean, they're all high-powered managers working in fairly high-tech environments, so they are really, really busy. And there's a big difference for people who are used to remote working compared with those who suddenly been thrust out of their offices and travelling to working from home, and also having to do home education for children.
Yeah.
And again, another issue for people who are used to working from home occasionally, but not having the team immediately around, spending a lot more time communicating. Whereas, if the team's all dotted around in an office fairly near, it's really quick and simple.
Yeah.
So management's taking a lot more time.
Yeah, I have. I also do not work in companies kind of at this point, but I do have multiple clients who are on the manager positions. And from my experience of working with managers, I could say that the challenges which they experience right now is, first of all, the communication, the way you interacted with the team members are completely different. Some managers find kind of, I would say, as more intrusive when you right now try to call someone or invite every time, interrupt teamwork, and kind of trying to control them. Something which was naturally and easier before, like, in the office, you could always like, oh, what is going on? Or you could have a kind of casual conversation. Right now, you're supposed to literally kind of call or arrange a meeting. And this is already sounds like a very forceful and more intrusive kind of communication.
I think it can be handled well, particularly around setting expectations. Let's earmark X time for a team meeting.
Yeah.
And arranging sort of regular one-to-ones with people, so that you are, if you like, respecting their space, but also providing support.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. When you look at that situation, from one side, like, for example, is it intrusion, or is it too much, or is it what it shows? It could show that you are trying to control someone, or if you frame it and see it as a support, or you provide some, I don't know, maybe not a guidance, but if you somehow, one way or another, supporting your team in order to achieve certain particular kind of goal, then it's a different way, and you are not gonna
Yes.
feel in a certain way.
Alex,
Please.
can we perhaps pause? I've got Irene on my phone.
Yeah, but I cannot. Yeah, please let me. I cannot pause. I could just end the streaming. We are live, so right now.
Oh.
Yeah, let's have a.
Hi, Irene. Hello? Hi. Yes, I am. Can I just check you've got the right link? Hello? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, how frustrating for you. Oh, it
Oh,
looks as
now
though
I can
you're
see.
in. Great. Bye.
Yeah, Irene has some problem to connect, or yeah, I can
She
see
said
her.
she said it refused her joining.
Oh, hello, Irene.
You need to unmute.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hi.
okay. Yay, welcome.
Sorry, we
Yeah,
had
no
some
problem.
struggle with my connection.
It's okay, but yeah, I put all the links to join right in the card, so it's not supposed to be difficult. But yeah, sometimes technology
Yeah,
could create a problem.
absolutely.
Don't take it personally, Irina.
No, absolutely.
Okay. So right now we were in a conversation with Jen about what kind of I would say the most challenging aspects of being a manager and communicating with your team, people are experiencing now. And it's great that you're able to join us because you are right now working with team. So could you please um, give your angle, your perspective on those issues? What do you experience now as a problematic?
Well, first of all is that I'm working for as HR manager and recruiting manager for a multinational corporation that has one of the bases here in my town, and it's based on partnership with estate agents, and they used to have a relationship just in person. Now all the things change, and they are trying to reconnect their own skills with the technologies, and it's not so easy because also they require changing in how use bureaucracy, documentation, how to
Yeah.
connect with other professionals, likewise attorney, notary, and all these kind of different things. And also there are two members of the team, one because he has a severe illness in the lungs, and the other one's because she is affected by the panic that was widespread in the situation, that she is not allowed to go out because of the fear and the experiences. So my challenge as manager, as well as a coach and a team coach, is creating a team that works with complete change scenario.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I have to help them to reconnect with their own skill and use in quite different way, from person to person, face to face, to remote. And also, especially with the person that developed this anxiety and panic, I'm working to help her to work even with the anxiety and panic, and don't be affected in the productivity, because telling to this person, oh, it's okay, don't worry, all this that you see is exaggeration and a fear in your mind, doesn't work as a explanation. And absolutely she is close to this. So what is working is make her understand that no matter what's going on, she could work in this situation remotely. And this situation require a lot of what we used to call soft skills, like empathy, compassion, and especially trying to understand where the person are, where the team members are, and how to help them to keep reconnect themselves with the purpose of the company, with the connection with the stakeholders. So it's, to me, it's a lot of work, honestly. And I think that anytime I have to repeat the purpose, I have to repeat and help them just sometimes take a breath and breathe a little bit. What is our purpose? Why we are here?
Well, perfect. Thank you, Irina, for describing the whole situation you are in and what you are dealing with. Because what I sense here, that I mean, when you say require soft skills, I have impression that it's a little bit deeper than just soft skills. It sounds to me like it's almost therapy related, because when people are when you're supposed to deal with someone who has a fears, uncertainty, kind of panic attack, and that's a little bit deeper than, you know, just intellectual, like I would say soft skills, or being like a classical coach. So it goes already on the border towards a little bit of therapy and some kind of more deeper, you know, understanding of human psyche.
Absolutely. And the fact that I have counseling degree, it helps. But when I see that there are things that are a little bit more problematic, so to speak, and they are going into the mental illness, I have connection with psychotherapists as well as psychiatrists, depending on how I see that there is the best intervention. Because, you know, there are a level of panic, likewise panic attack, that requires sometimes medicaments. So in that case, I have to relate with some psychiatrist, and I ask for help, and we make an agreement on how we work together. Because to me personally, I instinctively act as counselor when the situation requires this kind of skill. But I also, I have to be really cautious to don't go over the boundaries, don't to be within my boundaries, and call the other professional when it is required.
Yeah, absolutely, Irene. Thank you very much. Jen, what would be your take on the situation when you are dealing with the team members who are, I would say, in an emotional state? It's kind of, because the whole crisis really affected everyone, and everyone right now not in his optimal working environment, and as a result not optimal working state either. So what would be your strategy and your advice or recommendations?
I'm thinking back to a time when I've managed team members who've experienced problems. If someone's feeling really unwell, I would always suggest they see their doctor. I haven't got any counselling qualifications, quite deliberately, because I've always thought you need to see someone who really knows about this. And also as a manager, I think it might be quite difficult for someone to unburden themselves with me. You know, they might feel although they trust me, they might feel they don't want me to remember them when they were in a high state of distress. So I've always encouraged someone to talk things through with a doctor. But I've also been fortunate to work with organisations that have had what's called employee assistance programs, and really urge people to use those sources of help if I think it's beyond my capabilities as a manager. In terms of helping someone believe in themselves, I've said, look, you know, I know you can handle this particular issue. Let's do it in a really safe environment. You know, say if it was advising on a particular HR case, You read all this and then tell me what you think are the sticky bits where you'd like some guidance, what your overall assessment of the situation is, and be able to learn in a safe way and then feel really good because you are able to deal with it, you know, and give good advice.
Well, I agree with you. There are levels, you know, where you can support and you should, and you can kind of motivate and give, I don't know, guidance to your team members. And there are lines which you preferably not cross, and recommend kind of maybe intervention from professionals when it comes to therapy and really deep kind of troubled states. So what else, guys? Irene, what you would consider as the most difficult, you know, part of the job which you right now involved?
The most difficult part is to create psychological safety, as we usually do with team members, where people can feel safe whenever they want to share some challenge during the work and some personal challenge that, like the situation of panic, is impacting the work and the job together. And in this case, is really challenging, help them to build trust and have trust with each other in order that they move forward as team. Most of the member of team, that they think that the team is based on the sum of the individual skills, but it's not that. The team is an organism that has a purpose. That is something that they little bit struggle to understand, but I think that with an appropriate strategy, we can go there together.
So you already mentioned that you are reminding and kind of reinforcing again and again to your team members what is the purpose and why. I would say, what is the big why behind their jobs?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So is there any recommendations how, like, for other managers, how to bring people to that kind of high level of purpose and motivation? What is your way of doing it? Is there any particular strategy you use?
First of all, there is this repetition, because, you know, I studied also hypnosis, and when you repeat many times the same affirmation, this affirmation, it's easier to embody. And sometimes I create an exercise when they check what their values are, and if these values are connected with the value and the purpose of the company. And because sometimes, you know, we change sometimes, and we don't want to leave the job or change the way we work. And sometimes reconnect the people with their own values, their belief system, and their own mission can really be of help. I use, you know, I think you know the scale, the Deals pyramids, to help them to reconnect with the value, the environment, the skills that they have, in order that they
Logical
have
levels.
a picture where they are, where they want to go.
Yeah. Okay. Jen, what would be your take on how to reinforce and support your team members with that vision and mission of the company and of values? What is the way you would proceed?
If I can perhaps come at it from a different angle, but it is building on what Irene said about establishing real trust, and that knowing that my team member knows that I can really listen to what they're saying, and it might not be the actual message that's being said, because sometimes it's what isn't being said. And I did an exercise with a manager the other day of saying, well, standing in the shoes of your team member, and what are you noticing and what are you feeling? And as a result of that, the manager was able to communicate on a much deeper level with the individual, who then did show a lot more trust. And from there, it was much easier to talk about, this is what's important.
Yeah. So Irene, yeah, Irene mentioned, like I would say, empathy, patience, all those qualities which you as a manager are supposed to kind of embody, and especially in this time when people are kind of more vulnerable and more, yeah, under influence of, I would say, circumstances. And okay, so that's this is the way you would. Any more recommendations? What do you think when it comes to establishing trust? I mean, what is the, at least your take on it? What is the root of trust? How do you establish it with someone?
It's one of those things I've never really thought exactly how I do it, but showing real listening skills, I think, has to come pretty high. I'm thinking back, also showing compassion and flexibility, because everyone can have a bad day, or, you know, circumstances can come along and really disrupt you as an individual. So taking personal issues into account and offering support.
Irene, yep, thank you, Jen. Irene, what your take on a trust? I mean, as a phenomenon. So, what do you think is the core of trust, and how is there any way you would recommend to for managers to pay attention to in order to have that trust in place?
Well, first of all, I can second all what Jen just said. And the other one is being always transparent, authentic,
Absolutely.
because transparency is the way to build trust with each other. This was one of the greatest things I learned when I follow conversational intelligence, because it's based on the brain chemical. You can trust a person if you feel that is authentic, is transparent. And sometimes when you feel also as manager vulnerable, you can share in an appropriate way, in a way that doesn't create more preoccupation or concern, but just saying, okay, guys, we are all facing the same challenges. How can we help each other? How can we give value, deliver value from each other? This opens up what we talk about, psychological safety and trust for all the members.
If I can sort of add on to that, because to me, yes, as a manager, I was always open and transparent, and admit if I didn't know what might be going to happen. However, you know, if we try our best and are open and honest with our clients, then they know that.
Well,
and it certainly helped my teams through uncertainty.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Ren. Yeah, everything what you just said definitely resonate in terms of the kind of roots of the trust and transparency and being able to listen and other things. What I would add also as a maybe some kind of small addition to that is that when I worked, and I am working right now with managers, and several times we come across to the point that it's time when when manager is supposed to be aware that, yeah, the job need to be done and there are things, duties which people are supposed to perform, but the human connection and real care. So if you're able to be really curious what is going on with your team members and devote some time to those conversations, the conversations we are like not related maybe directly to the what they need to do and what you expect them to do, but how they are, like about people, about what they're going through. And if manager, of course it puts kind of additional pressure on the manager because it does require time, that personal connection, taking care of your team members and being really curious, you know, how you could support them and what they're going through. And if what I over the years discovered is that trust, you know, often based on the some kind of like a gut feeling that, you know, the person really care and authentic, and the person really curious how I am. It's a genuine kind of attitude, human to human. And if manager, as a manager, you're able to have those conversations, I think it will be a powerful foundation for people, you know, to trust you. And then the work, the job and other stuff will come as a secondary thing, not the number one. It's not about pure pressure. I mean, that's probably what would be my addition. Okay, so how much? Yeah, we are talking a little bit already, and so the last words on the topic. Irene, what would you say in order to wrap up our conversation as a, I would say, kind of, you know, the closing message to listeners and people who watch?
What helps me is questioning my assumptions and try to be flexible and learn during the process, because each day anything changes, and we have to be really a great observers and cautious of what we are doing and how to get things done despite the situation.
Perfect. Thank you, Irene. Jen?
I think thinking back to a time when I didn't handle things well was to actually realise it's okay to ask for help, because that shows you want to be more resourceful so that you can succeed. And sometimes it's a difficult message to share with other people, you know, but, you know, we're humans, we're not infallible. And the other thing I did learn, and it is about breathing, of being able to take deep breaths. In fact, I started doing yoga, which I realized may not suit everyone, but to actually have some form of release as an individual, whether it's martial arts, yoga, other forms of exercise. I think that's really important, to be a whole person.
Yeah. Perfect. Jen, thank you very much. Irene, thank you very much, guys, for advice, and looking forward to have you on our next conversations. I think we are already planning to talk about leadership and some other issues which people right now are going through. So thanks a lot. You found some time, you know, to join conversation, and see you soon for the next one. Bye bye,
Thank
everyone.
you, Alex.
Jen.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Irene. Bye bye.
Bye.